I'm going to bring a lot of information right now at where we're at with both HIV prevention and treatment options to battle this epidemic. So just by a show of hands, because I know we have people at different levels that have different levels of information with this. How many people know what the HIV/AIDS strategy is, the National HIV/AIDS strategy is? Okay. So it's a good place to start. We'll frame this entire conversation. So the Office of National AIDS Policy came up with the National HIV/AIDS strategy, which was issued back in July 2010. President Obama made it quite clear that HIV/AIDS was an issue that he was going to address and really address on a national level. In 14 different cities across the country, there were community engagement forums where people from the federal government came to the community and said, what are the issues? What are the topics? What do we need to address? And we had a whole long laundry list of issues that we needed to look at. And from that, when the National HIV/AIDS strategy was put in place in July 2010, there were three things that were listed on there, the three main goals of the National HIV/AIDS strategy. One, it was reducing the number of new HIV infections in the United States, increasing access to care and optimizing health outcomes for people living with HIV, and then finally reducing HIV-related health disparities. Now this is important for two reasons. The National HIV/AIDS strategy is the first time that the federal government as a whole put together a plan to address HIV/AIDS. So that's number one. This is the first time that the federal government actually came forward and said, let's take care of this. The second part of it is for people within the HIV world doing both as service for AIDS service organizations and community-based organizations, it gave a roadmap, it gave a plan, it gave a way to say, okay, these are all the things we're going to look at, and this is how we're going to actually roll out services and address HIV/AIDS in the United States. So what I wanted to share with this, using that as a framework, is share all the new HIV prevention and treatment advances that have happened in the last several years. So I'll cover three basic areas. One, new testing technologies. Two, biomedical prevention interventions. And three, treatment, all right? So new testing technologies. It's important to get tested on a regular basis. In New York State, passed a law several years ago, 4 years ago at this point, that every medical provider is supposed to offer you an HIV test when you go see them. If you're a New Yorker and you go see your doctor and they don't offer you an HIV test, please tell them. Please tell them it is by law you're supposed to offer me a test. So testing technologies that are coming out. One of the first ones, or the first 4th generation test was approved back in 2010. And what this means by a 4th generation HIV test is this is a test that not only looks for antibodies when it's testing, but it also looks for the HIV virus or pieces of the HIV virus. So you can actually find out whether someone's HIV positive or someone's become HIV infected while they're still in acute infection, which is the early stages of HIV infection. So it reduces the window period. You're actually able to get someone tested, get them identified, and get them into treatment much quicker. And then just last summer, the first rapid test, 4th generation rapid test was approved in the United States. A test called Allure Determine. So that is a new test that's out. Again, it's a rapid test. You'll get your results back quicker, and it'll look for both HIV antibodies and antigen, which is the virus. So those two things have narrowed that window of the time someone can be identified as HIV positive. We're also looking at a couple other tests that have 2nd generation tests, antibody tests that actually have been advanced. One of them is the biological instant 1-minute test. So gone are the days where 20 years ago you had to wait 2 weeks to get your results back. Even 10 years ago with the OraQuick test, it was 15 to 20 minutes to get your result back. Now you can get your result back on an HIV antibody test in 60 seconds. AIDS Healthcare Foundation in Brooklyn, we're actually rolling this out, and we want more organizations to kind of take it up. It's a faster turnaround of getting people their HIV testing when you're doing community testing. The other advance that has happened is the OraQuick HIV test is now offered over the counter. You can go down to Duane Reade, CVS, whatever your favorite pharmacy is, and you can get off the shelf from the pharmacy an HIV test to take at home. So all these new advances in HIV testing is giving us an ability to actually reach a larger audience and also move at a faster pace to get people identified and into care. Biomedical interventions. So condoms, Counseling, these are things that we've been doing for several years. In the past few years, we've actually looked at more biomedical prevention interventions. Janet mentioned one of them, pre-exposure prophylaxis. Again, a pill that someone who is HIV negative can take on a daily basis, and it basically, it gets their immune system so that if they are to come into an encounter with someone who's HIV positive and have unprotected sex, that they have a basically, you know, for lack of a better word, a shield kind of built up. Your immune system is primed to deal with HIV. Now, it is controversial. It is very controversial, and even within the gay community, where they saw the most uptake would have happened, it hasn't happened. In fact, I think the last thing I read, there was about, overall in the entire United States, it was approved 2 years ago, in 2012. At last count, I think only 1,700 prescriptions have been filled for pre-exposure prophylaxis. And if I think I'm correct in saying this, what I also read is half of those have been women, and women in the South who've actually taken this up to use pre-exposure prophylaxis. So that dialogue has to continue. One thing that's actually also come up in the past year, I think in New York City, that's become an issue, is post-exposure prophylaxis. And a lot of people don't know about this either. So post-exposure prophylaxis is similar in that if you have an incident where you may have been exposed to HIV, you can actually go to the emergency room and ask for post-exposure prophylaxis. Post-exposure prophylaxis is a 28-day regimen of antiretrovirals that you can take, and it decreases the chance that you might become HIV infected. Now, it's not 100%, but it's something that you can actually go to. You know, if you had a high-risk incident, go to your doctor, go to the emergency room, and ask them about post-exposure prophylaxis. One key thing that you have to remember about this, it has to be taken within 36 to 72 hours after exposure. So, and most people are leaning towards 36 hours. So really, you know, talk to your, your medical provider, find out where your local ER is. If you have those questions, ask them, call them, ask them about, post-exposure prophylaxis. And then there's a couple other things. And the research is being done, but we don't actually have any tools that actually have proven effective, and that's both vaccines, HIV vaccines for people who are HIV negative, and HIV microbicides, both vaginal and rectal microbicides. The research is still out. Some have shown promising, some promise. They're still working out the details, but hopefully in the next several years we'll have both a vaccine and microbicide available to the general public. And then the last thing I want to talk about is just treatment. So the advances in HIV treatment have been phenomenal. Gone are the days where someone has to take multiple medications. The last medication that I believe was approved by the FDA was called Strivil. It's one pill, one a day, and it has had incredible response from people who are HIV positive. So treatment is becoming more and more effective. It's not becoming cheaper, but it's becoming more and more effective. So I just wanted to kind of share that treatment is advancing on an annual basis. Better drugs are out there so that people who are becoming HIV infected have multiple drugs that they can look at to keep them virally suppressed. In New York City, a few years back, the New York City Department of Health made a statement, and it was a change in how we do HIV treatment in the U.S. Before, it was someone would test HIV positive, and they would say, well, we're going to delay therapy right now. We're going to see how you do. We're going to look at your go to the doctor, see what your bloods look like before we start treatment. Those days are gone. Actually, New York City was the first Department of Health to come out and say, actually, once you get someone tested, start them on treatment immediately, because we've seen a better response from treatment when you get people on treatment immediately. So that's kind of the test and treat model that's now put out there. And the CDC, several months after the New York City Department of Health made the statement, followed in suit and said, yes, test and treat model is the way we should go with dealing with HIV. And then treatment as prevention. Are people familiar with this term, treatment as prevention? So a few studies have come out over the past few years. The first one being in 2011, and one just recently in 2014. And what it showed was individuals who are HIV positive on treatment and virally suppressed, meaning they're going to the doctor on a regular basis, they're almost undetectable viral loads so that they can't, it's not showing up on the test that they're running, have decreased the chance that they are actually able to pass on the virus to someone else. Back in 2011, a study came out where it showed a 96% reduction in HIV infection for someone who was positive to someone who was negative. And that was done in a study that had seroresponsive couples, where one of the members of the couple was HIV positive and one was HIV negative. So it was a 96% decrease in being able to pass on that virus for people who adhered to their treatment. And just recently, in a study called the Partner Study, which included both heterosexual and gay couples, showed less than a 1% chance of transmission from the HIV positive partner to the HIV negative partner. So in thinking about all this and thinking about all these pieces, as mentioned, that we have a plan and we have a toolbox and we have tools. And for some reason in different parts of the United States or different parts of our communities, that it's not having as best results as other parts of our community. So my takeaway, and this is what I would say for folks as a takeaway for this panel, or at least for my piece of this panel, I should say, is that A, treatment works, and B, that there's something that has worked for the last 30-some years as we've been in the HIV/AIDS epidemic, and that's advocacy. That's community, and you can call it community organizing, community mobilization, community engagement, whatever you want to call it. It's taking that message out to the community and having those conversations. They're not always comfortable. Actually, most of the time they're not comfortable. But it's important that everyone here, you've spent a beautiful Saturday afternoon to sit here and listen. Take this back to your communities. Talk to leadership within your church. Talk to community health centers. Talk to community groups. Talk to your city council members. Talk to anyone you can and get the message of, why aren't we talking about HIV/AIDS more? And with that, and the tools that we have, and a plan in place, we will have an AIDS-free generation. Thank you.